For some reason, people seem to like when I fail and how I fix that failure. So I'm gonna go ahead and record some of this for you. The truck just died north of New Hazelton. I lifted the hood and the fuel line broke off right before the injection pump. Lucky for me, I do have the e-bike with me, so I'm riding into New Hazelton. It is freaking cold out here right now. Hoping that storm doesn't roll in. The only two stores open in this town, well, the only two stores in this town, really, 2 gas stations. Managed to buy the only 2 rolls of electrical tape and the 1 set of pliers. Things are looking up for Usty. Made it. Almost out of daylight, and the electrical tape plan, for lack of a better term, has not gone to plan, but I'll show you what I did. I took the hose off the overflow. That goes over the broken piece down there. And then this line, this green line, is from the diesel air heater, and it slips inside the fuel line. I'm not overly confident this is gonna work, but it might get me somewhere. We'll see. I have simplified things and practically eliminated the tape. In the truck, I found 3 zip ties. Check this out. There's not one freaking drop coming out of that. There's a big stretch now without service. I think I'm gonna push it, but she's running. That particular breakdown happened on the way back from Prince Rupert after having the boxes built, but it was not the first or the only breakdown throughout the build. I knew, especially building on a truck that had sat for so long, I was going to be encountering some hurdles, but a couple of the big ones actually ended up working out in my favor, so I'd like to cover some of those. You guys might remember back to my trip to Prince George when I had one of the rear duals lock up on the highway. At the time, I thought that that was a brake failure, but unfortunately it was a wheel bearing failure. I made a big mistake when I rebuilt the rear end. I didn't realize there was a special procedure to filling the rear end with oil, and you actually have to lift up the driver's side to get oil to the passenger side because it doesn't pump over there. So I ended up leaving to Prince George on dry bearings. Remarkably, I made it about 300 kilometers before they seized up, and I was only 13 kilometers from the shop that was going to be doing the work. When everything finally locked up, the whole bearing just spun on the axle housing, and it literally welded the inner race to the spindle, ultimately destroying the entire rear end. Now, I could either dismantle the whole thing, find somebody with a great big lathe and get it welded and spun back to a machined surface, or I could source a completely new rear end. Well, this truck being a cabin chassis, it comes from the factory with a great big long heavy duty frame and a narrower rear end so that you can pack more weight than a conventional 1-ton pickup truck. But that left only about a ½ an inch between my airbags and the tires. So I decided I was going to replace it with a regular pickup rear end, which is 4 inches wider. So the truck would be more stable and it would give me that extra room in between the airbags and the tires. The whole axle was a really easy swap. It's literally just bolt on. The only thing you have to change is a little bit of modification to the brake lines, but easy peasy. The broken fuel line coming back from Prince Rupert was the first of several fuel leaks that I was going to encounter. Just the way that the steel fuel lines rubbed on the frame or the engine, they were pretty much worn through in quite a few places. So I ended up replacing everything from the frame right up to the fuel filter. Oil leaks have been kind of an ongoing battle right from the very beginning, which was to be expected working on a truck that sat for so long because all the seals had been dried out. But I'm excited to say that it's been over a month now without a single drop of oil coming out of this truck. So I think I finally have everything replaced or fixed that was a problem before. Now, for the longtime viewers, you'll remember when I had to rebuild the motorhome, my fridge quit working throughout that rebuild, and these are $3,000 to $4,000 fridges because they're three-way fridges. I didn't have it in the budget to fix that, so I spent the last 3 years living without a fridge, which really sucks. Getting this rig having a functional fridge was a huge win, but 3 days after officially moving in here, the fridge quit. But I got a little bit creative and it turned out super cool because EcoFlow had sent me the Wave 2 battery-powered air conditioner and heater. And originally, let me grab the GoPro, I'll just show you everything. So this is the Wave 2 air conditioner and heater. And air conditioners need to be vented to the outside to get rid of the hot air. And this rig being so small, it's pretty limited where I can put something like that. It was going to go down here because that's just empty under there. There's a little bit of plumbing, but air conditioners, like cold air goes down. So the bed being all the way over here, this is a really inefficient place to have an air conditioner. Well, when the fridge quit, it opened up a beautiful opportunity. And I ended up finding a company out of Vancouver that had a sea can full of these discontinued Dometic fridges. And this fridge is 8 inches shorter than the one that was in here from the factory. So then I had this compartment up here. There used to be a storage compartment right there. That all got cut out. I installed the new fridge and then built a framework around that. And then the idea was to build a cubby that the air conditioner could go into and then vent right out the top, use the same vent that the fridge uses. So I took a Sawzall, chopped this big hole, and then I built the whole box ahead of time. It just slipped in and then got framed in. It's important that this is a sealed compartment because the fridge runs on propane. And you can see up there is where it vents out. Now this is permanently mounted here. I just have a strap that goes over the battery, holds it in place. The cord lives right here, so then I can easily charge it off the Delta Pro. And if I ever need to remove it, hopefully I never will have to, this folds up and then the whole unit can just slide right out the front. We're right in the middle of this year's first and quite early heat wave. So I've actually been able to test this thing quite a bit and I am very impressed with it so far. This thing has 3 different levels of cooling. It'll put out 5,100 BTUs. It also works as a heater. I won't be using it as a heater, but it does 6,000 BTUs of heating. It also has an eco mode, so it'll cool for a little bit and then just run the fan. And I found if it's already cool in here, I can be sitting in direct sunlight and that thing on eco mode will keep this a very livable temperature. I built this truck to do some pretty extensive travel in a variety of climates over the next few years, but an air conditioner is not something that I factored into the original build, but I'm very excited about now. Especially these days, sitting in here all day long editing, having a functional fridge and an air conditioner, these are the luxuries that make this smaller rig home sweet home. So if you guys want to check out any EcoFlow products, I'll have a link down in the description below. And it all just goes to show you, you never know when a breakdown is going to work in your favor. Thanks for watching, everybody.